230 million lives in jeopardy. The meltdown that could drown our world. A terrifying global event is already in motion, one that could reshape coastlines, flood entire cities, and force the greatest mass migration in human history. 230 million people are living on the edge of an irreversible climate catastrophe, and the latest scientific warnings are more alarming than ever before. According to a shocking new international study, the world's ice sheets are melting and destabilizing at a pace that could submerge much of Earth's coastlines, even if we achieve the long-cherished climate goal of limiting global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius. Let that sink in. Even the most optimistic scenario could trigger chaos. If you thought the climate crisis was still decades away, think again. This landmark research, conducted by a global coalition of leading climate scientists, has revealed chilling evidence that Greenland and Antarctic ice sheets are far more vulnerable than previously believed. Drawing on satellite data, deep-sea sediment records, climate simulations, and even genetic analysis of octopuses, the study paints a dire picture. We may have already passed a critical tipping point. The ice sheets of Greenland and Antarctica lock in enough fresh water to raise global sea levels by an astonishing 65 meters. That's not a typo. If even a fraction of that melt occurs, we're looking at the destruction of coastal cities like New York, Tokyo, London, Mumbai, Shanghai, and Miami, not centuries from now, but potentially within the lifetimes of children born today. What's worse, sea level rise is accelerating. Over the past 3 decades, the annual rise in sea level has doubled, driven largely by the relentless melting of ice. Even small changes in temperature are now known to have disproportionate impacts on these massive ice sheets. According to the study, the long-accepted safe warming limit of 1.5 degrees Celsius may not actually be safe at all. In fact, new evidence suggests that just 1.5 degrees of warming could trigger unstoppable ice loss, a cascade that no geoengineering trick or political promise could reverse. Earlier models assumed ice sheet collapse might require a 3-degree rise, but those assumptions have been obliterated by more recent high-resolution data. We are entering uncharted territory, and we're doing so blindly, stubbornly burning fossil fuels while ignoring the planetary warning signs flashing in red. This is not just an environmental issue. This is an existential threat to global civilization. More than 230 million people live less than 1 meter above current sea levels. That means even modest rises, just a meter or two, could force hundreds of millions to flee their homes, sparking waves of climate refugees, economic collapse, and potentially conflict over disappearing land and resources. Entire countries, such as Bangladesh, the Maldives, and parts of the Netherlands, could be wiped off the map. Agricultural zones would vanish, drinking water supplies would be tainted by saltwater intrusion, and low-lying megacities would face infrastructure collapse. And yet, world governments continue to subsidize oil, coal, and gas, as if time were not running out. To halt this nightmare, scientists now believe we must limit warming to just 1 degree above pre-industrial levels. But achieving that would require immediate and massive cuts in greenhouse gas emissions, the end of fossil fuel use on a global scale, and a total transformation of our energy systems, within years, not decades. Let's be honest. The political will does not exist. The technology exists, the knowledge exists, but the global unity and urgency are nowhere to be found. Every delay means higher seas, greater devastation, and more lost lives. This isn't a distant threat. This is the front line of climate collapse. If humanity continues down this path, the question is no longer if sea levels will rise dramatically, it's how soon, and how much destruction we're willing to endure before we act. If you're reading this, you're already part of the story. The only question is, what will you do before the water reaches your doorstep?